In this Fextralife video, we're going to be taking a look at the most anticipated RPGs of 2026. These are RPGs that are coming out this year, what you can look forward to. 2025 was a banger year for RPGs, and it's going to be hard to top titles like Clear Obscure Expedition 33, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, other great games like Silk Song. So it's not going to be an easy year to top that, but there are some great games coming and some that you probably haven't seen on this channel yet that you will hear about in the near future with dedicated videos. So first on our list is Code Vein 2, which you probably saw our video on just a few days ago if you've been following the channel at all. This is one I'm really excited about coming out this year. It's the first one on our list because it comes out the soonest on January 30th, and I think there is even an early access period depending on the edition of the game you get for January 27th. So you can play it as early as January 27th. And what I really like about this game is it's got a blend of anime and Souls-like combat that few games today possess. There are a lot of anime games out there. Typically, they lack in the combat department. Code Vein does not. And the blood code system in the game that allows you to change your classes on the fly is absolutely phenomenal. It's one of the things I really love about the game. They have made some changes to that blood code system, as I mentioned in the previous video. So we'll just have to see how that pans out. But that is the first game to look forward to in the coming year. Next on my list is Dragon Quest VII Reimagined from Square Enix. This is actually the second remake of Dragon Quest VII Fragments of the Forgotten Past, which was released back in 2000 for the PlayStation, with the first remake for the 3DS back in 2013. And while a lot of JRPG fans are no strangers to the Dragon Quest series, for those that are uninitiated, Dragon Quest VII was the first of the series to be published outside of Japan after Dragon Quest IV. The Dragon Quest games always delivered sprawling RPG adventures with hundreds of hours worth of playtime, and with Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, players will have the chance to experience one of the classics again. This remake will not be simply upscaling the original game to run on modern systems, but instead, that game is remade using new art styles and systems receiving all the bells and whistles worthy of a modern JRPG. The new art style of the reimagination was inspired by dioramas and is complete with new detailed character models, while staying true to the original character designs. The gameplay systems that I mentioned will also be receiving new updates to streamline the experience, such as removing random encounters, allowing players to avoid monsters while they're exploring, and adding auto strategies to party members, relieving players of the need to manage every action and speeding up the combat, which can be extremely useful against low-level encounters. In addition to all these battle changes, each character will be able to utilize 2 vocations in the reimagination, opening up possibilities for synergies between 2 different jobs. Also, there will be new vocations available in 2026, promising a new experience even for veterans of this series. That being said, if you're looking for the exact same experience as the original but with modern gaming sensibilities and systems, you might be disappointed, as it has been confirmed that some of the areas from the original game will be cut in order to improve the flow and pacing of the story. That is not to say that this will not be a complete game, but rather the development team is making sure the players experience the story in the best possible way, with as little pacing issues as possible. Whether you're an old-school JRPG player looking to revisit the title, or you're looking for more of similar gameplay after playing Clear Obscure Expedition 33, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined might be worth having on your radar. The game is releasing on all major platforms: PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch 2, and Steam on February 5th of this year. The next game on our list is another one of our highly anticipated games, and that is Nioh 3. It's no secret that we're massive fans of Nioh 1 and Nioh 2 here at Fextralife, and while both games were not flawless in their experiences, the combat systems of Nioh are arguably the best, if not the best, of all Souls-like games in the market, if you can even call them Souls-like games, since they seem to have spawned their own genre. I was definitely excited when I found out that Koei Tecmo and Team Ninja were doing Nioh 3, and then they dropped the demo at the State of Play back in June of last year. Team Ninja has been improving their craft and streamlining elements with each of their games, starting with Nioh, Nioh 2, all the way up to Rise of the Ronin and Wolong Fallen Dynasty, and it's exciting to see what they'll come up with after the lessons they've learned from their previous titles, even if not everything was flawless in those games. Nioh 2 was an absolute masterpiece of a game, and while their follow-up titles did not reach the same heights, Team Ninja did try different things. And now with Nioh 3, Team Ninja is taking all of their experience and presenting us with an open world, which is a huge departure from the traditional mission-based stages of the previous Nioh games. Players would be going around the open world clearing out camps and defeating bosses, similar to Rise of the Ronin. The biggest change to the Nioh formula, in my opinion, is the samurai and shinobi system of Nioh 3. Instead of just switching between stances or weapons, players will be switching between samurai mode and shinobi mode. Each mode has their own unique moveset, weapons, and playstyle, with the samurai moving slowly, methodically, and more durably, while the shinobi provides a more swift and nimble, agile playstyle. Players will be able to outfit equipment and gear for both modes and will be able to switch between the different modes on the fly, enabling them to adapt to the situation quickly without being tied to a specific loadout. We already had a taste of all of these systems in the PlayStation demo, and we have an impression video up on the channel if you want to know more details about the experience we've had with the game. Players will not have to wait long to get their hands on Nioh 3, as there will be another demo available on January 29th for everyone to try out, and the game is officially releasing on February 5th, 2026 for PlayStation 5 and PC. Another one of our most anticipated games of 2026 is Solasta 2, the follow-up to the brilliant tabletop tactical RPG Solasta Crown of the Magister, which released in 2021. And while it did not find mainstream success like Baldur's Gate 3, Solasta quickly became a favorite among a lot of CRPG fans, providing them with an excellent adventure and a plethora of options as well as tactical depth, and staying true to the Dungeons & Dragons formula. Perhaps some of the most important reasons to be excited for Solasta 2 are the addition of Unreal 5 engine graphics, which make the game look a lot better than what Unity has looked like in the past from their previous game, and the addition of voice actors such as Deborah Wild, Amelia Tyler, and Ben Starr being added to the voice cast of the game, which should take Solasta 2 to the next level, maybe not to Baldur's Gate 3 heights, but obviously a much closer to it than Solasta Crown of the Magister was. If you're a hardcore CRPG fan or someone looking for something to get into after playing Baldur's Gate 3 for the 27th time, if you haven't played the Divinity games yet, Solasta 2 is a solid option going into early access on March 12th of this year. Keep in mind though that this is an early access, not the full release of the game, so it's more than likely that players will not be able to experience the whole story, but there will undoubtedly be a substantial world and map to explore as it makes its way through early access. Next on our list is Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection. It's no secret that members of the channel enjoy the Monster Hunter series, and there's nothing quite like smacking the head of a giant dragon with a huge hammer. And while Monster Hunter Wilds did not meet a lot of fans' expectations, there are still a lot of players still enjoying Monster Hunter World. The next anticipated RPG for 2026 we're going to talk about is the lesser-known cousin of the Monster Hunter series, the Monster Hunter Stories. These are turn-based JRPG games set in the Monster Hunter universe where players take the role of a rider and form bonds to tame and control various iconic monsters, such as the Rathalos or Tigrex, and the third entry in the Monster Hunter Stories is coming in 2026. In Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection, players will take control of rangers that are tasked with preserving endangered species in order to protect and restore the natural environment. Instead of hunting monsters like the mainline series, the gameplay loop in Stories is a little different, and players will be looking for eggs with the aim of hatching them. Afterwards, the monsters will be released back into the wild to restore the ecosystem. Restoring the ecosystem allows players to gather eggs, which will hatch into various monster partners. While the Monster Hunter Stories series is different from your traditional Monster Hunter games, they are still a charming experience where you can interact with the various monsters from Monster Hunter and not just hunt them. If you're looking for a little bit something different in the Monster Hunter world, Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection will be releasing on March 13th this year. The next RPG to look forward to in 2026 is no stranger to RPG fans, since it made a big splash amongst gamers when it was first revealed back in 2019. This is a game from Pearl Abyss, the makers of Black Desert MMO, and it started off actually as another MMO title, but since the initial reveal, the game has evolved and progressed into a story-driven, single-player, action kind of RPG experience set in the same universe as the Black Desert MMO. Crimson Desert is on a lot of people's radar because it's one of those games that looked too good to be true with its massive open world, impressive visuals, and just by the amount of things and systems players will be able to interact with in the game world. We've seen trailers showcasing the massive open world with players riding on top of dragons or gliding across the sky with a stamina similar to Breath of the Wild. There were trailers showcasing intense combat encounters against a giant dragon construct, and those that show players scaling huge monsters. Crimson Desert is without a doubt a highly ambitious game, and it just feels like we haven't seen the entirety of what the game is offering yet. I personally have had more than one chance to go hands-on time with this game during Gamescom of 2024 and 2025, and the game is definitely impressive from what I've experienced so far, but it hasn't really showcased anything more than a small portion of the open world segment, and we didn't really have a lot of chance to interact with different NPCs and quest lines during our time with the game, so I have a lot of questions about this one, but one can't help but get excited about it. Hopefully we won't have to wait too long and the game will not be delayed again, with its current release date of March 19th of this year, and we all get a chance to experience this highly anticipated game very soon. Up next, we have an expansion for a great action RPG game with the Lord of Hatred expansion for Diablo 4. This is the second expansion for the title, and players will be continuing the story and finally get to face off against one of the primevals, the Lord of Hatred himself, Mephisto. The expansion will take place in a newly added area, the ancient region of Scovos. Additionally, the expansion will reintroduce the much-beloved Paladin class, which can be accessed right now if you've pre-ordered the expansion, as well as another unannounced class. The expansion is also promising improvements and changes to the endgame experience, trying to deliver a great experience for all Diablo fans, and it's coming out on April 28th of 2026, which is not too far away at all. The next game is slated to release later in 2026, as it will be releasing on September 9th, but it is arguably one of the most anticipated games of the year for Fextralife, and that is Phantom Blade Zero. This title is being developed by S-Game and will be the first game by the studio for PC and the PlayStation 5. This is the second game on this list that looked too good to be true on their first reveal back in 2024, and a lot of people thought the initial reveal of the game was pre-rendered cinematic instead of actual gameplay, but Phantom Blade Zero is the type of game which will instantly grab your attention the moment you get your hands on it. While the initial impressions may lead you to think that this is just another Souls-like title with fast animations, it's far from a Souls-like. If the game had to be compared to other games, it's closer in feel to character action games like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta rather than a traditional Souls-like experience, but I feel like even that description does not do the game justice. We've covered Phantom Blade Zero a couple of times on the channel, and we've been following the news of the game as it was so much fun to play at Gamescom, and every time the game shows up, it just keeps getting better and better. And from what I can gather, the main reason it's taking so long for Phantom Blade Zero to finally release is because the developers were surprised by the amount of interest in the game and decided to expand it, going from what was initially a 4-weapon type game to now include up to 22 different weapons, each with their own unique movesets and animations. I would like to stress again that while the game is a Chinese martial arts action RPG with inspirations from Souls games, predominantly in level design with various shortcuts through the levels and then something similar to a stamina system, Phantom Blade Zero is not a Souls-like at all. It's an action RPG allowing players to perform flashy martial arts moves similar to Ninja Gaiden 4 and having a lot of fun regardless of your skill level. I've had so much fun every time I've gotten to play this game. I cannot finally wait to play the full version when it launches on September 9th of this year. Another game that we're looking forward to playing in 2026 is the Blood of Dawnwalker. This game is being developed by Rebel Wolves, who are made up of ex-Witcher 3 developers, and is looking to provide a different experience for a medieval fantasy RPG. In the Blood of the Dawnwalker, players will be assuming the role of Cohen, who is a half-human and half-vampire. And Rebel Wolves is taking a very interesting approach to Cohen and storytelling of this game, because there is a limited time system where important story events will unfold after a certain amount of time has passed, whether you've completed objectives or not. While we do not know the full details of the system, it sounds interesting and has the potential to change the narrative of the story drastically, depending on the time and order the quests players do. From what I've deduced from talking to the developers themselves, it sounds like you can't fail the game if you don't complete the main objective in time, but that it will change the outcome of the ending of the game, so you may not get as positive an ending, and that each action that you do during quests during the game will move the game forward in time, so you're kind of using time as a currency to reach your final objectives. So it'd be really curious to see how this plays out. In addition to narrative aspects, Cohen will be able to make use of his dual nature to tackle quests in different ways, as shown by the gameplay overview Rebel Wolves has released. Players can choose to approach a situation through dialogue in peaceful ways during the daylight, or rely on their vampiric powers to walk up walls and sneak past guards to get where they want, opening up of various possibilities and opportunities for players to experiment with the world of the Dawnwalker. While we don't know a concrete release date yet, Blood of the Dawnwalker is slated to be released in 2026, so I'm hoping we'll have a release date for that soon, but my guess would be that it'll be in the second half of the year. Another game that I wasn't expecting a follow-up to, but was excited to hear about when we first got the announcement, is Bloodstained: The Scarlet Engagement, which is a follow-up to the prequel title of Ritual of the Night. Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night is a side-scrolling action RPG released in 2019, and many fans consider it as a spiritual successor to the Castlevania series. Ritual of the Night gave us a Metroidvania action RPG which favors exploration immensely as players explore castles and secret laboratories during the 18th century London, facing off against demons and other hellish creatures, and Scarlet Engagement promises to deliver more of the similar experience. With the Scarlet Engagement, players will be getting a prequel story set in 16th century England against demons and creatures to defeat the Demon Lord Elias's reign of terror. Scarlet Engagement is promising an even larger map to explore in the Bloodstained world, with the promise of not only a day and night cycle, but even including shifting light and darkness as time passes, transforming how players interact with the world. Additionally, the Scarlet engagement will also have a buddy system where players can take control of two characters, Leo and Alex, simultaneously, enabling them to switch between characters to combine each's unique ability to gain the advantage. While no specific release date has been revealed yet, players can expect to get their hands on Bloodstained, the Scarlet engagement, sometime in 2026. Following Bloodstained, the Scarlet engagement, we have a Switch 2 exclusive to look forward to for all you Nintendo fans out there, and that is Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, which is a new tactical RPG set to release in 2026. Fortune's Weave was announced during a Nintendo Direct presentation on September 12th of last year and is the 18th main installment in the Fire Emblem series. The game will retain the series' signature turn-based tactical gameplay with grid-based battles, while also having exploration segments tied to the narrative. While the immediate predecessor, Fire Emblem Engage, offered a refined tactical gameplay experience, a lot of players felt that it lacked the narrative depth of the widely acclaimed title, Three Houses, and the initial impressions the trailer gave is that the developers have learned from their previous titles, and Fortune's Weave is looking to deliver on both fronts. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave will be releasing with a blend of familiar gameplay mechanics and new storylines, and characters appealing to both longtime fans and newcomers to the series sometime in 2026. The next title is an upcoming one from Owlcat Studios, and it's an RPG tied to a known sci-fi IP set in the 24th century, The Expanse. Orisis Reborn is a story-driven sci-fi action RPG in the vein of Mass Effect, where players will take control of a pink water security mercenary whose brief shore leave on an asteroid Eros spirals out of control and gets drawn into a larger conspiracy. Players will be able to create and customize their own captain and lead a crew of specialists in a sci-fi action RPG. We don't have a lot of sci-fi RPGs to fill the void left by Mass Effect, and The Expanse Orisis Reborn has a lot of potential. The developers, Owlcat Studios, are extremely talented at making engaging RPG games, as evidenced by their phenomenal Pathfinder games and the Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader, so having them take on a third-person sci-fi action RPG adventure leaves us with very high expectations. From the trailers we've seen, Owlcat is taking the route of a cover-based third-person shooter approach to combat similar to Mass Effect. While the setting itself may not include a huge variety of aliens, The Expanse offers an interesting sci-fi story set in space, which Owlcat seems to be looking to deliver. While we'd like to see more of the game and concrete release date, the game is still expected to release sometime this year. Up next is Lords of the Fallen 2. The sequel was revealed at Gamescom 2025, and it is said to be releasing in 2026. While Lords of the Fallen 2023 was generally well received, the game had some minor issues with the combat which held it back, and we had a great time playing it, and it is one of the better Souls-likes in recent years. With the sequel, CI Games is aiming to take all of its hard-learned lessons from Lords of the Fallen 2023 and deliver a bigger and better experience with Lords of the Fallen 2. The sequel will be set 100 years after the events of the first game and is a continuation from one of the endings of the first one. Lords of the Fallen 2 will also have more weapons, more spells, and more enemy types for players to use their tools against, promising a bloodier, more brutal, and more visceral experience. Instead of providing more of the same, Lords of the Fallen 2 is aiming for even more in every aspect, from the unique Umbral mechanic, the world building and lore, to the variety of starting classes in the game. We had the chance to interview David Valjala, the creative portfolio strategist at CI Games back at Gamescom last year, and if that interview is anything to go by, the sequel is shaping up to deliver a great Souls-like experience. If you want to learn more about the interview, we do have a video up on the YouTube channel, and we do know that the game will be releasing sometime in 2026, even though we don't have a specific release date yet. Following this is another Souls-like sequel that not a lot of people were expecting, and this is Mortal Shell 2. Mortal Shell is another Souls-like that we've had a ton of fun playing, but it's had its fair share of problems. While the developers at Cold Cemetery nailed the aesthetics, the lore, and storytelling of a Souls game, the combat was a bit lacking, but this time around, they're taking a look and trying to deliver a great experience with more varieties of shells, weapons, and enemies to fight against. The trailer shows various weapons, shells, monsters, and bloody gruesome combat, all in the backdrop of a dark and grim fantasy landscape. Mortal Shell 2 is also promising an open-world Souls-like experience, which makes it the third one on our list, but if the level design and world building of the first Mortal Shell is anything to go by, I'm confident that Cold Cemetery will be able to pull it off. If you're looking to find out more details about Mortal Shell 2, we do have a preview video on the channel, and while there are no specific release dates announced yet, the game is still expected to release in 2026. And last on our list is another game that caught our eye, and that is Showa American Story, which was initially supposed to release in Q4 of last year, but got delayed until 2026. The developer Netcom Games has billed the game as a post-apocalyptic romance RPG and an alternate history ensemble period drama, which is a very unique setting for a game. If you've seen any of the trailers for it, you will notice the description fits perfectly. In this game, you'll be playing as a girl who mysteriously revives from the dead in a post-apocalyptic world with zombies, monsters, and a colorful cast of human survivors. The game looks as wild and crazy as it sounds and is stated on the Steam page. That is an enthusiastic love letter to the 80s pop culture that features a strong taste of B-movies. Although we don't know the details of systems and mechanics in the game, Showa American Story looks like an absurd fun time in a campy setting, which is evidently not taking itself very seriously. Again, we don't have a specific release date, but this game is slated to release in 2026. So that wraps up our video on most anticipated RPGs of the year. Are there some games on here that you didn't know about? Are there ones that didn't make it onto the list that we should have included? What do you make of this? Let me know in the comments below.